Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Led by Life. We're your hosts. I'm Rafaela, and this is Hannah. We are two ego manifestors in human design. If you've been here before, welcome. If you're new, we're happy to see you, happy to have you. We talk about human design, the gene keys. We are on a journey through all of them. And this week we're at 51. So Hannah and I sit and we contemplate it. As always, something very synchronistically happens when we're with the energy so that we come to the podcast and we can share. I know that that's been like my experience with this one. Um, we can get into that. And we just kind of like nerd out on human design. So if you're here, welcome. Um, and this one is very personal to Hannah, but it is in the heart center. So while it's not defined for me, I do feel the energy that is around the 51st gate. Um, just like with all of them, we might not have it defined in our constitution, but we are all of it. So happy to have everybody. Welcome. The 51 is the gate of shock, and it is the gift of initiative. Is it
Yep.
initiative or initiation?
It is the gift of initiative, but it is the part of the channel of initiation
Okay. And then,
in, yeah.
yeah, and then at the shadow frequency is agitation. And then at the city is awakening.
Mm.
hmm I kind of want to start with the agitation now that I'm thinking about it.
And I want to hear your experience.
Well, there's so many things that have been going on in the collective, in the energy, in the cosmos over the last like 2 weeks, right? And we've kind of been with this one for a little bit, for about that long, right? And I was recognizing, and all of this kind of comes through as Hannah and I like share our experiences with one another of like what's coming up as we're sitting and contemplating the gene key. And not until I read this this frequency and listened to the audio you sent me, actually, really. Because I think I listened to the audio before I like reread it to sit with it some more. And how Richard Rudd was describing like the internal physical irritability, agitation, discomfort, and
Mm,
the process of like being with that and kind of going towards it. Did I
mm,
then recognize like did I then kind of come on the other end of it? But honestly, I didn't even really know that that's what I had been feeling until I read this. It kind of just like clicked for me because for a couple weeks I feel like I've been like not very like mentally clear and I'm not articulating myself correctly. And you were reminding me that we've been in Mercury retrograde and like sometimes it like resonates and sometimes it doesn't. But this time around, I could definitely say that like my communication has been off for lack of a better word. I'm just like not saying things the right way. And for a little bit, it's lifted in the last couple days, but I was like just kind of that feeling of like wanting to like crawl out of my skin, but didn't really know why. Like there wasn't anything like that was necessarily happening.
mm,
Um, Although I am like working on some things for myself, I don't know, I didn't know how to like put words to it. And then when you sent me the audio of like that feeling in the body of
mm,
just like, and to me, I feel like it's an annoyance or it's like yeah, crawling out of your skin, but like don't really know why. And that's what he was saying in this chapter is that this is, well, one, it's related to like having a deep distrust for life, but
mm,
also that it's not like a mental or emotional distrust. It's really a physical one.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah. So sat with it a little bit, read it, And then I feel like it like loosened up all at the same time while I took some like really big steps for myself with creating other things that I've been doing, whether it's the website, offering breathwork sessions, like all of that kind of
Mm.
came like right after this realization that like, oh, I'm just not taking like the next step from my heart, like taking that next initiative that can um it's kind of like where I was in the block, so to speak. Like I was in the shadow for a little bit. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's this and I feel it in my chest. I don't know about you, but like I often feel things in my heart being, and I'm curious about your experience as well, like being a heart centered, led being, from an energetic perspective.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I often feel this like anxiety in my chest, and I felt it coming up a lot recently because I've been making some bigger moves myself and like taking those steps forward. And something that kind of came to me yesterday was like that the anxiety is just a sign that I'm actually doing those, like moving through the fear, because in the past I would have identified with the anxiety and I would have felt like, and sometimes the anxiety can be mental as well, like, but we're talking about a different kind of, yeah, like a physical fear or lack of trust in yourself. And I
Mhm.
think as ego manifestors, it's like a lack of trust in your heart, in like the very way that the energy wants to express itself. Now, we were talking before about like the being an ego manifester. There's different ways that can be configured. And so for Rafa, you're like a pure ego manifester. You've got that direct manifested channel, the 2145 from the heart to the throat, making you a pure ego manifester. And something that I've felt a lot of confusion around since discovering human design is the fact that that's not how I operate. My energy is very different. There's not actually a lot of information out there about when you have an ego manifested authority, but it goes through a different pathway to become a manifester. And what I was also telling you was that I have these two channels that make up my authority. So it's kind of starts in the heart here, the 51st gate. And then the other end of that channel is the 25. So we've got the 51 in the heart center and then the 25 in the G center. And then I also have the channel 1-8, which is the channel of inspiration. So I've got the channel of initiation, which is where we
Mm.
are right here in the 51. And then it manifests from the G center into my throat center as the channel of inspiration. So I've kind of been sitting with this for years, like since discovering human design, asking myself, like, how does my authority work? Because
Yeah.
it's not speaking my truth. It is speaking my truth, but it kind of has to go through, in order to like really be the most impactful, it kind of has to go through a bit of a journey of initiation. Like, and often that looks like challenging experiences
Would you say,
and
sorry, not to,
shocking
that's what I
experiences.
was gonna ask.
Yeah,
Like, do you feel like it comes through like moments of shock?
I
And
do.
I just remembered that,
Yeah.
which could probably have been a shock to you, and like, you everyone can interpret that word however they choose, but I'm just remembering that the 51, the physiology that's connected to it is the gallbladder, and then you
Yeah.
had that experience with your gallbladder recently.
Yes. So just over a year ago, and I'll take you back a little bit. I think probably the most shocking experience that I experienced, like there's been a lot, if I look back on my life, there's also been a lot of initiations. And again, people can interpret that however they want. But for me, and I really resisted this as well when I first discovered about human design because I was kind of told that it would probably look like a lot of challenging experiences throughout my life. And, there's been a lot of grief and sadness in the fact that I have to walk this path. of like challenge.
Hmm.
But I'm reframing now, and I really feel like I'm at this point now where my relationship with those initiations has changed in that it doesn't necessarily have to be a struggle,
Hmm.
but it's like an experience that or life is constantly like giving me these opportunities to deepen my sense of trust and to deepen the connection that I have with myself. And also like if we zoom out, my incarnation cross is the vessel of love, which is where the 25, the gate 25, which meets the other end of this channel, is part of my incarnation cross. It's universal love, it's the love of the spirit. And so, really, these initiations I've come to understand are always bringing me back to a deeper sense of love for myself, for others, for life, for my body, like all of these different aspects of my incarnation cross. And so, the first probably like shocking experience that that I think really woke me up. And, this, if we're thinking about this notion of like awakening,
Yeah.
was 7 years ago. I fell pregnant. I was in a different marriage, and I found out around 9 weeks that I had lost the baby, and it completely shattered me, my whole reality. I didn't ever consider that that was something that would happen to me. And it really shattered my sense of innocence. And the gate 25 is the gate of innocence. So I keep kind of feeling into like these energies at play that are making up this channel. It's like this shocking experience that's testing your innocence, right? Your
Mm.
spirit
Hmm.
and sense of trust in life. And it was through that. And I've talked about it so much. Like, if people are interested in hearing my story, I've talked about it on my own podcast and my YouTube channel. And that really kind of woke me up to the fact that I was not living a life that felt true to me. I felt very like every aspect of my life fell out of alignment. And so, long story short, I ended up leaving that relationship and I ended up starting my life over. I had to sell the house that we owned and moved back home with my mum. I was almost 30. And it was like a very shocking kind of experience. And, I know a lot of people who have since gone on to leave relationships or marriages and things like that. But I kind of felt like I was the first going through that of anyone that I knew at that age,
Mm.
at,
Yeah.
at my age or our age. And so I do feel like that in itself was an initiation, but also I noticed the ripple that that had in like people that I knew, and just seeing like kind of that shock or that experience that I didn't even think was possible for me. Like, I felt so stuck in that life that I didn't even think I could find a way out. But it
Hmm.
was almost like going through that devastating loss gave me the confidence and the courage. And this really is a gate of and an energy of courage to walk away and to start my life over. And I've since been through two pregnancy losses and another two pregnancy losses in my current marriage. And so it's been like one blow after another, it has felt like.
Hmm.
But again, every one of those experiences have brought me back to a deeper sense of love for myself. But what I will say is that, yeah, you asked me about my gallbladder. So just over a year ago, I was pregnant again with my third baby with my now husband. And I had this pain in my upper right, like part of my abdomen. And I went to get it checked out at the hospital after a couple of days of just being in so much pain.
Hmm.
And essentially, they told me that I had a severely inflamed gallbladder full of gallstones and it had to come out immediately. Like, it was an emergency because it could burst and then that could kill me, essentially. So, kind of alarming, shocking. And they removed it that night and they told me that there were early signs of sepsis. So it was like a really good thing that we found it when we did. But yeah, the gallbladder, like I remember discovering that at the time. I think I was even in hospital reading
Yes.
about this. I think I messaged you and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm
Yeah.
just had my gallbladder removed. This is related to the 51st. And, I can't know for sure why things have happened the way they have. And like, I don't think any of us can ever really know
Hmm.
the bigger things that are at play. But my interpretation has been that this was like an expression of the repressive nature of
Hmm.
of like me suppressing my power for so long that it was like building up in my system and my body, and also remembering that like my vessel of love, there's a big aspect of like the connection and the love for the physical body. It's like my body couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah. And for everyone listening, the repressed expression of the 51st is this experience of cowardliness, coward
Mm.
being cowardly. So is that what you're saying? Is that like that was
Yeah,
kind of the insight that you came to
I think
because
so. I think it's again like one of these initiations that I can't necessarily make sense of
Mhm.
logically, but the felt experience is that I had to go through this on some level to reclaim my power,
Yeah,
and my voice and
yeah.
my innocence, right? Because I think that that has been the hardest thing is that I've realized over the last couple of years, going through again two losses. And like, I just want to be a mum so badly. And I know that it's like meant to be a part of my life, but I think I was trying to control it, trying to control the outcome. And he talks a lot about this in The Shadow, like thinking that we have control over life. And it's almost been this lesson of having to fully release control because it's just something I cannot control.
Mhm.
I cannot force motherhood to happen on my timeline.
Mhm.
And um, yeah, I think the repressive nature, like, and he says it here, the cowardice here lies in the repression of a very powerful nature. And then he also goes on to say, such natures rarely find the individual courage to break the illusion, preferring instead to wallow in a repetitive cycle of self pity. To break out of this cycle of depression, these people have to wake up to the fact that only they can rescue themselves. And I feel like that's kind of the realization that I've been going through just in these last few months is like only I can rescue myself. I can't control the outcome, but I'm the only one who can like pull myself out of these patterns of self-pity. And I think I really was telling myself a disempowering story for a long time
Mhm.
that like life doesn't want to give me the things that I want. And like I'm being denied of the things that I want. And so, and I shared with you that I've been playing with my motivation. I've been
Yeah.
revisiting my motivation, which is innocence as well. So there's almost like these two parts of me. There's this like powerful, like I want to make it happen, ego
Mhm.
driven, manifested energy of like, I want to do it. I want to be first. I want to like make these things happen. But then there's this other part of me that's like, life is not here to be controlled. It's just beautiful and magical and we can't make sense of it all, but like, can I still trust myself at the end of the day? And can I still trust that life is going to deliver me good fortune, which he also talks about in the gift, the gift of good fortune. I feel like there's so much I could say on this, and I don't want to like completely take over the podcast here. So I'm going to stop for
Yeah.
now and trust that whatever wants to come through will come through.
No, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, thank you so much for, sharing all of that with us. And as you were speaking, I came to like a memory of something that I felt was a distrust in life that then, something kind of shocking happened and then threw me into what I would probably then like call like an initiation for myself where like I needed to act and
Mm,
and then move which is I was in a it for me it like comes up in a relationship too. Is the memories that I kept kind of like seeing as you were speaking of not knowing how I was going to get out of a very long-term relationship. And not until my aunt actually said to me, like, you're so supported. Don't let all of these, other things kind of get in the way of you needing to like do something for yourself. And then I was thinking about what you said, like nobody was coming to save me from this. I didn't even really know that I needed saving. I knew that I needed out, really. And
Yeah.
when I for me it comes up in like really a lot of these difficult experiences in life where there's a decision to make but not really sure on like where to go next. It's for me it's like really like a surrendering of like completely like letting go and trusting then that it will whatever will unfold. And that's exactly what happened after, a shocking experience of being so upset, like so angry. Um,
Mm.
did I then surrender? And then in weeks to come, like the relationship ended. And not even of my doing, really. Um, and that kind of then threw me into having to relocate, having, months later is when I came across human design. And that in itself was like such a, you know, an expansion of my mind and of like my experience and coming back into like in
Mm.
alignment with myself and what I felt to be really true. Um, and so, like and I believe I said this, like while I don't have it, the gate specifically defined,
Mm.
a lot of the qualities um feel feel very true for me just because it's, I have a defined heart, you have a defined heart, like can can sense it and feel it. Um, you know, it's interesting when you can sense the experiences like of a particular energy or a particular gene key, but then not be able to like articulate them. I kind of feel like what you were probably feeling before is not what I'm feeling now. And it might not really like make any sense, but nonetheless, it's totally okay. I feel like the heart also only has four gates,
Yeah.
similar to the head. And I feel like that just makes them very powerful energy centers.
They they are, yeah, and this is the only individual gate in the heart center. So the other three gates are tribal,
Hmm.
and this is also part of the centering circuit. So it's a really small circuit, part of the individual circuit. And let me just pull it up if I can quickly. The centering circuit is four gates, and I have three of them defined. And let me just read this out to you quickly. So, the centering circuit is one of two small but important minor circuits. Channel 3410 transforms the way in which one lives in the world, while the other side, channel 5125, transforms the way in which one takes advantage of the world we live in. The centering circuit is centered on the G center around the identity and direction of the self. It's focused on empowering people to love themselves and to follow their own unique path in life by living according to their sacral's response. So I don't have the sacral response, but it's really interesting. I've been working a bit with the sacral center recently because, I'm wanting to call in pregnancy and like this is where like that energy lies. I'm wanting to like kind of reclaim my divine feminine
Hmm.
energy. I also feel like that's something that's kind of taken a bit of a hit over the years through these, like it's a trauma,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
a trauma in the center and it really has taken a toll on like feeling good about myself in those ways. And so I've been working with the 30 with this energy a little bit because it's the only kind of gate in this channel. I
Hmm.
mean, not this channel, this circuit that I don't have defined. So it would make sense that, having the hanging gate 10, it wants to kind of like reach for or experience that energy.
So you have like all of those in that circuit
Mm.
defined except the 10, which is coming out of the sacral.
34. Because the 34 is in the sacral.
Oh, okay.
This is where you get to see like how beautifully divinely creative you are, not to like sound up myself, but like if I had the 34, I wouldn't be a manifester. And I'm here to like be a manifester, but I'm also here to be a different kind of manifester. And
Mhm.
I want to talk about this a little bit because I think I was saying to you earlier, like when I first discovered that I was an ego manifester, a lot of the information out there didn't really resonate with me because of my unique like makeup. And I have these two channels that are both projected. The 2551 is a projected channel, the 18 is a projected channel. And it's also both of these channels make up my authority, but they're also half unconscious. So the 51st gate is my unconscious Mars,
Mhm.
which in the gene keys is my vocation, I believe. And the eighth gate, which is the other end of my authority, I kind of see my authority as being like these two channels because it's
That's
how
what it
it's like
sounds
what
like.
heart to the throat, right?
Hmm.
Um, and the eight is also unconscious to me. I can't remember exactly where it is. Unconscious something. I'd be curious to see where that is. But anyway, nonetheless, I kind of was like, wow, like so I'm here to be a manifester. I'm here to make an impact, but I'm also not here to just like go out and make things happen. And
Yeah.
for me, it's like it's almost like life initiates me, which is giving me
Mm.
the direction of what I'm here to then like express,
Even
through
more
going,
so of like a process of learning how to trust life.
yeah, totally. And trust myself and trust my voice and trust my impact and like trust that things are happening in the way that they're supposed to. And also like trusting that I'm here to forge my own unique path. And I think we all are,
Hmm.
but I think for me, it's really been realizing that I'm not here to follow the path. And anytime I'm looking to what other people are doing, and this is very much like the channel of inspiration is
Hmm.
about being a creative role model. Like you're not here to look at creatively what other people are doing. And I think the channel of initiation is like realizing that your life is your own path. We're just not here to do what everyone else is doing.
Well, it just made me realize like within, because I think of like initiation and I think of like taking initiative. And so
Hmm.
it's like you or anybody that has the channel or even this gate defined is where they're probably like naturally just take initiative in their life. And doesn't mean that it's hard or that it comes easy to them necessarily, but life kind of pushes them to this point of like having, maybe they experience the shock, the internal, like not, sometimes it doesn't have to be that big. It can just be like a something's not feeling right physically, right? That then moves them into like, I have to, like, it kind of like comes to me as like, I have to do this. Like, I have to go in this way, in this direction for myself, like, and really being the first one. That's what I think of, like, when I think of like initiative. I think of like people who take initiative, kind of take the lead. And so
Mm.
I can see where it sits in the heart because I feel like a lot around the heart center really is this power um, of leadership. I feel like there's so much leadership in the energies of the heart.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know because like I mean I have all three except this one defined. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. I would be curious for myself to go and look, just kind of read or like resit with all of them and see if there is this theme of leadership that kind of comes through in
Mm. And this is individual leadership here.
hmm.
And he,
Right.
he even makes that distinction. Like And the another layer that I brought in was the line that it's in. So I have it's in the second line, and this is about withdrawal, which when I first read it, I was like, what does that even mean? And I've kind of sat with it a little bit longer. So it says the recognition of the mechanics of shock that indicates when withdrawal is the only logical action, the instinctive withdrawal when the power of the ego is threatened. And I like when I first read that, I was kind of like, what does that even mean?
Hmm.
But as I've sat with it a bit more, and like this gate is really about, it's very mystical. This channel is very mystical, and it's really like the shaman leaping into the void. And what was I going to say? Oh, the withdrawal is recognizing when like things are just so much bigger than you
Hmm.
that your only way to respond is to withdraw and
Hmm.
kind of let whatever needs to happen happen. And for me, this is recognizing that like I don't need to try and force the wisdom or like what is happening from the experience outward. I just need to like sit with it and withdraw. And this is really like the shaman retreating to the woods or wherever to the jungle, I don't
Yeah,
know.
somewhere, somewhere in the
Somewhere
dark.
to like really sit with the wisdom before then it can like impact the tribe,
Hmm.
because this is where the like mutation of the tribe happens, like through the individual. So I don't know if any of that even made sense or what I was trying to say here, but um yeah.
I think that there is such a like there's not I mean there's always so much depth to all of them, but I feel like there is a complexity, and maybe it's your own constitution, not complexity like it's difficult, but just layered. Like I feel like this one
Right.
for you is just so layered, like it can go in so many different ways, and that's why it runs like it's so profound and so deep. You can't there's no way of being able to articulate the magnitude of like what can come through here for you. So, you know, I just say that because if anybody is ever exploring the gene keys, recognize that it is not like it's not like a logical process, in my opinion. It's not um it's it's yeah, it's just not like I'm thinking of like astrology where sometimes it's like easy to kind of see how it correlates, but I feel like a journey through the gene keys is so much more of like you have to embody it. You have to be like physically like human design, the gene keys both, like you have to physically be experimenting with it to really understand the depth of it. And that doesn't come in words so often. So yeah, just a little grace for us to know that like there's too much that we're not going to be able to cover here with this one.
And to be fair, I haven't completed the Venus sequence, which is where this is kind of this is my core wound. So, you've got like your placements in your human design chart. This is my unconscious Mars. So it is something that is here to, in a way, be like Mars is not so much communication, but like, how
Action.
would you describe action? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Action. And then you bring in the gene keys, and so this is my core wound. And then the core wound also becomes part of your from the when you move into like prosperity. What's it called?
I
The
think it's
pathway,
called
is it
prosperity.
just the pearl
The
sequence? Yeah.
pearl.
I was like, I know there's something I'm missing here. So what I love about, and this is just so cool, is that how it all connects. You've got your activation sequence, you move through your four gates of your incarnation cross or your four gene keys, and then you finish at the purpose to then start the journey of the Venus sequence. And then you go up this funny looking pathway and you end at the core wound. And then the core wound is what, and he even says the Venus sequence is like a pathway of through the heart,
Mhm.
and it's a lot of unconscious energy in there. I think there's a lot of
I
like
wonder,
unconscious,
yeah, that's
yeah,
why it's like through, yeah, okay,
through
keep
the
going.
heart.
Uh-huh.
right? And then you end at your core wound, but then the core wound is like part of what you're here to gift to the world through your pearl sequence, where you meet your prosperity. And so it's just like this
And in
beautiful
the
journey.
pearl, it's what is then it's called the vocation.
Yes.
There we go. Figured it out.
There in the end. But like I have, who knows what will reveal itself when I finish the Venus sequence. I kind of got drawn to it at stages, and then I sat back from it a bit, and I know I'll go back to it at some point.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting, and I just really love. I want to share a little bit from the gift here. Um, and also just one other thought that came to me before about the gallbladder. So in Chinese medicine, I do a lot of acupuncture. And in Chinese medicine, the gallbladder is related to resentment and bitterness.
Mm,
Um, because like the bile is
yeah.
stored in the gallbladder, and the bile is like bitter. And so a buildup of bile or gallstones can indicate a buildup of resentment and bitterness. And I think there was certainly bitterness that I was holding on to, perhaps in relationships that I've had throughout my life. But I think the most bigger bitterness or like resentment that I was carrying was the resentment of keeping myself small
Mm,
and I couldn't just be myself. And so much of this gene key, like I would really encourage anyone listening, if you haven't, to read the gift of the 51st, because it's
yeah.
just, I think it's so beautiful. And he says every one of us must at some point in life leave the crowd and head off into the uncharted wilderness of our heart. This is the true path and destiny of humanity. The more you believe in yourself and act from this belief, the more life supports you. And then yeah, he goes on to say the 51st gene key will always reward your perseverance when you trust in your own heart. And I think like this is the true
Mm,
trust in life, is like if I can really trust in myself and my own heart,
mm,
can I trust that life will then reward me?
yeah. It's kind of like settling in a little bit more of how this is showing up even in my own life right now, of being met with an opportunity to trust my heart, to follow my path, to leave the tribe, to do the thing that I want to do. And in doing so, knowing that I will be supported the entire way. Um, and I have all these little micro moments of how that is happening. And I think that that's what I would say for anybody is like, if you're gonna journey through the gene keys, like really be so observant of like how it's relating to your life in the present moment, because that's where the teachings really show up. And that's what I get excited about. And that I was remembering, like, after listening to the audio of thinking about where I am in my life right now, I've just kind of even like things that have unfolded today, that it does get to be magical and so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like one other thing I'll share is that every time I've surrendered and not been, and again, like my motivation in human design is innocence and the transference is desire. So, what I'm kind of learning through exploring this a little bit more is that anytime I'm like grasping or trying to control things and trying to like achieve the outcome,
Hmm.
I'm I'm in transference. Like I'm not in that pure innocent, like trusting, letting life unfold way. And another thing that I've realized is that it doesn't mean I can't have desires and like things that I want, but it's not trying to control how those things happen. And I was reminded, you know how I told you that a while ago, like when I first met you, when it would have been, what was it, 2022?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wrote on my manifestation list at the start of the year, I was like, I want to manifest a new friend and someone who I can like go deep with, someone I can talk to about all this kind of stuff. And I could not have orchestrated this friendship, but I was going through some old voice notes the other day and I found this voice note and I'll have to send it to you where I was like talking about something, I was trying to like use my, voice to
Yeah.
think out loud.
Yeah.
Um, which is what the channel 18 is, like a self-projected channel. So it's really likes to like talk things out. And anyway, I was like mid conversation, mid sentence, and then I'm like, oh, I just realized that I manifested Rafa. Like, I'll send you the recording. But it just goes
Oh.
to show, I think this is a beautiful layer of like trust, that it's not to say I can't want things and like
Mhm.
desire them, but it's
Mhm.
just letting go of the control of how these things are going to happen or come about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So cute. I love it. You're gonna have to send it to me so I can see it,
I
so I
will.
can hear
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Well, I think that wraps up the 51st.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we move on to the 52nd. And I don't even know what that one is, but we're going to find out. And we're just so grateful that you guys take the time to listen to our Gene Key rambles and our talks and our dives and be in the depth with us and in the light and in the joy and in the fun of it all. So thank you so much. And we will see you again.